what's the best AI video tool out right now?
If you're looking for live action footage, VO3 from Alphabet Google is probably the best.
For 2D and 3D animation, I still like Howloo. I think they have been killing the game.
It's really important, especially if you're using non-VO3 models. Like if say you're using Runway or using Sora. It's a lot easier to anchor your generative video on the specific visual still that you generate.
It's a building block because, like you said, the text could still kind of get interpolated in different ways and still might not set you on that exact correct path that you want to visually represent in that video.
If you're going to create video with a model like Sora or VO, add an image, reference image that you generated so the video is able to have a frame of reference. What is someone's first step that they should be thinking about using one of these tools? Or they're interested in bringing an idea to life?
Use the tool.
Use the tool.
That's it. Because here's the thing, right?
Go play around with the tool.
And for every use case, there's a different tool. If you're an audio engineer, go play around in ElevenLabs, record your own voice. Just start using it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the EventShark podcast, and we are doing an episode breakdown, deep dive into AI video, and how we're using it at EventShark. We have been at the forefront of everything coming out with AI video, and people are always asking, are you guys using this? Are you guys using this? The answer is probably we are. So what we wanted to do on this episode, we brought in Mason on our team. Say what's up, Mason.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Mason's been working with us for a year part-time, and he just joined us full-time.
Yeah.
Just graduated University of Texas Film School, and they literally had you doing AI projects in school, which was super sick. You were the first person that we know that was actually really getting deep and making some really sick stuff with AI. So we want to bring Mason on. He's edited a lot of our AI videos himself, and really is in the nitty-gritty of using these tools. And we are going to dive into all of that, how you can use AI at your company, how you might want to be thinking about AI, and let's have an AI chat.
And my name's Alex Hormozy.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to the EventShark crew for having me on the podcast today. Hustle culture, grind, skip the piano recital, fuck your kid's basketball game, don't go, you have work to do, increase your shareholder value, bars, acquisition.com, log on.
I forgot. Ding is always wearing this outfit, so I forgot it's like a weird thing for most people. So this is like a normal outfit for him. But yeah, we got Hormozy. Thanks for jumping on the pod.
Of course. It's great to, to work with a business like EventShark, who's really lived up to the values and philosophies in my great books, 100 million leads, 100 million offers. I don't know why I sound like Donald Trump right now, but Daddy Hormozy's here. We're talking about AI. It's very good. Very good.
So you got us some water, Hormozy?
Yeah, I got us some water. All right, just kidding. I'm Ding. I'm Ding Mosey. So today's episode is brought to you by Vichy Catalan Sparkling Mineral Water. This is brand new to Whole Foods, but I've seen this on the review sites. So, as is tradition, before we dive into the deep end of AI, let's taste this mineral water.
All right, cheers.
All right, cheers.
It's Vichy, what is this, Catalan?
Vichy Catalan.
Genuine.
What do we think?
Solid.
It's not bad. There's a stronger mineral content here compared to the other waters. The closest that it reminds me of is Gerolsteiner. The bubbles, it's a little bit more flat compared to the other waters.
This one sucks. This one's not good. It tastes like the frickin' tap water right out of Italy.
I'm not the biggest sparkling water fan in general. I think it all kind of tastes a little TV staticky, just in my opinion.
TV static. That's a good descriptor for it. I think I've acquired the taste of mineral water over the years. I to the point I will even enjoy still mineral water, which is a good segue into AI. Not really, but
About stills, AI almost started with stills and image creation of just still images.
Is this like a lesson you learned in school?
No, I'm just saying, going back to
the history of AI.
History of AI?
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing a little history lesson of AI.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Going back, that's whenever we were first messing around with AI in school and everything, there was only certain models that were out at the time. ChatGPT was just releasing its first, version of like DALL-E, image creation. there was no video to it yet. So it was all still just very dirty text prompts of image creation. There was pretty much no video to it yet, and it was super, super limited just because the training models weren't there yet. Your images would kind of come out a little weird, wonky, the classic 5-finger, your 6, 7-finger AI, like people generated with like 2 heads, some weird outputs. But
yeah, I remember when we were first doing the recovery song.
Yeah.
Yep.
We looked like freaking monsters out of the Monsters Inc. or something.
It was a little crazy, and like that was even when Howley was first doing their like 2D stuff, and like look how far it's come even to now, of what we've been doing, even with like the ghost videos that we've been editing recently. With like, I know that's 3D, but that was pretty much 7 months ago from the recovery song all the way till now, and literally flawless. Almost got perfect generations on first try.
I think it ties into a interesting thing I've been thinking about is generative AI hasn't been around that long in the consumer space, right?
Right.
But AI visuals or AI processing has existed for quite some time in major productions, Hollywood, etc. I think a very famous example of early AI pertaining to video is Henry Cavill in Justice League.
Yep.
Right, where he had grown out his mustache for another role. They had to do a reshoot as part of the movie, but Henry couldn't shave his mustache because he had to keep it for his other role.
Yeah.
So they ended up filming the scene with Superman while Henry Cavill had the mustache, and then they removed it in post.
Yep.
And some elements of that technique were actually it's AI in the background, right? It might not have been called AI at the time, or there's not that public universal collective consciousness around it, but very much AI.
Frame interpolation of like the deep fakes. That was before AI. There was deep fakes, and you still had to have a pretty heavy set of background within video editing to even get, put your face on someone else's body. Like we could all be Superman. But another good movie reference for that is The Irishman with all.
Yes,
all
That's actually exactly one of the movies I was thinking of.
Yep, that's what they were. I mean, of course, had Netflix budget and blew all the money in the world with that one, but they really narrowed in that system before all of generative AI for public use kind of came out, and they were able to make De Niro and everyone look 20 years younger than they actually are.
I think jury might still be out on that one.
Yeah.
Say, hey man, you can make his wrinkles disappear. You're not changing the way he walks.
No, definitely not. But
that was a fun watch. Bit of an agenda for today. How are we going to be talking about AI? So we have a jam-packed episode for y'all. And we're going to go over a little bit, as we just touched on, the history of generative AI. We're going to talk about the 3 primary ways that you can leverage AI to create content today. Following that, we're going to dissect some of the coolest ways that creators are actively using AI right now. Some great examples that you can go out, watch, consume, and enjoy. After that, we're going to go into our predictions on where AI is going, how that's going to affect the industry. And finally, we're going to talk about how creatives and marketers like yourselves can leverage AI to improve your output, boost your productivity, and come up with more creative ideas, execute on things that were previously impossible. So let's dive into it.
Yeah, and I heard a great quote from marketing legend Gary Vee the other day. I was listening to just a podcast him talking about AI, and people were asking him like, how are you using AI? He's like, well, if you're not using AI or thinking about using AI, you're really putting yourself at a huge disadvantage. Basically, AI is the current internet. Right? Yeah. Every company in the early 2000s had to become an internet company. Otherwise, they become obsolete. Now, this is the next step where every company is going to become an AI company. That is what we're going to talk about, is how we are using AI as well. And
it's not an optional thing anymore, right? And if I could get on my soapbox for 1 second, we talked about this on our team call earlier. But I think most people are thinking about being an early adopter, or you're not even early anymore, right? Most people are thinking about being an adopter of AI the wrong way. A lot of folks think you got to go out, buy a bunch of courses, stay up to date on every single new tool that comes out. That's actually not the best or most efficient way to use AI. The best and most efficient way to use AI is for you to critically evaluate your work day to day and think of ways where you could leverage existing AI tools or create your own workflows to improve how you are doing your work. A lot of people have this misconception of the fallacy of the hammer and the nail, right? When you have a hammer, everything fucking looks like a nail. And I think people are out there manufacturing problems that don't exist so they can use AI as a solution to solve that problem, which was never really a problem. So be really critical about what problems that you have and how you can use AI to help you with those problems instead of trying to force the issue.
Yeah, so many use cases, and we could talk all day about this, but let's get into the video aspect of AI. What's the best AI video tool out right now?
So for video, if you're looking for live action footage, VO3 from Alphabet Google is probably the best. And it makes sense when you think about their training data and sample sizes. They own YouTube. Like, where the fuck are you going to get a better training model? Except Chinese internet, right? That's the only other place you're going to get a comparable set of training data. So the live action footage that VO3 is generating is just heads and shoulders above the competition.
Definitely, yeah. And like Ding was saying, since it has access to like all the YouTube library, natural movements are a lot better with the live action within VO3, just because it is trained on YouTube. So literally, you can type in live action, person riding a bike. It'll almost be flawless every single time. That's what VO3 is definitely there for, the live action movements. Another good meme right now that's going around is like the Bigfoot. If you've seen the AI Bigfoot stuff going around, that's pretty good. But also, it's
like
trained.
Like the vlogs?
Yeah, like
yeah.
Bigfoot vlogs.
Like selfie
I've seen the
video.
Stormtrooper ones.
Yep.
But that's because it's all trained on human-like movement. So even if you have a character like Bigfoot, it's still a skeleton-like humanoid creature, so it'll move naturally. For 2D and 3D animation, I still like Howloo. I think they have been killing the game. When we learned about that almost a year ago now in class, I think the really good prompting system.
A lot of people don't know what that tool is. Say that one more time.
Yeah, so it's howloominimax.ai. It's the Chinese model. There's V1.2, there's the V2, and then V3. Each of their sections have better for live action, 2D, and 3D animation. So whenever we're working on a video that requires like any 2D, 3D, we like to use the Howloo.
In Chinese, we pronounce it hai luo.
Hi, lo. There we go. Thank you, Ding.
The correct pronunciation.
That's all I'm good for. Is the Chinese pronunciation of stuff.
Okay, so we just talked about video. I think great point on the training model of VO3 having YouTube, such an unfair advantage. How is anyone going to be able to compete with that? Besides maybe the Chinese company and the Chinese internet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no
From
other...
a volume standpoint, no one comes close.
Yeah.
What's the best AI audio tool out right now?
Suno.
I
think Suno's the best. I think they all do similar stuff. Suno has the biggest brand and they have the most funding. They have the biggest war chest. So when all else is equal, if you could spend the most money on development, you're probably going to get a better product.
So now we have your tech stack is for video, it's VO3. You have Suno for audio. And with Suno, you can create, we were even doing this a year ago, right? We were creating our own music.
Yeah, that's a great use case. Like, talk about the background music and whatnot.
Yeah, we use it for background musics, for Ding sales raps. We've used Suno for some background musics, even just company like corporate songs or jingles. You can use Suno and make a banger.
Even if you're just making a vlog or you're creating a corporate recap video, right? And you go on the stock libraries of something like, say, an Envato, and you can't find the perfect sound for the vibe you're trying to capture. Well, now you can generate something wholly new that didn't exist, right? And furthermore, there's no issues with copyrights, is because there's, how do people find copyrights? They have algorithms that reference it with an existing library of copyrighted music. Well, if the song you're using does not exist in a library, you're good to go. It's original.
Yeah. How are they training that? I remember there was a big debate right when Suno was coming out and the whole AI music was coming out.
Yeah.
This was maybe like honestly a year ago, because I remember listening to podcasts when I was paying my fence about this. There was a whole debate whether they could like train off of current like Universal music and like Taylor Swift and all that stuff. And you can't.
They're 100% doing it.
And if it's on the internet, it's probably being openly sourced, whether through selling data. Data is pretty much the new diamonds of today. I truly believe it. Companies can buy and sell and trade. And if it's out there on the internet, it's probably in a data source somewhere being bought and sold, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
And they can use that data to train and make new music. So
Yeah, I don't know if there's been a landmark court ruling of it that has set a precedent yet, but I remember there were two distinct stories that I think pertain to this. So one was ChatGPT being trained on classic literature, and the New York Times had some beef with them, right?
Sure.
It was like all these news outlets were like, oh, we don't want you guys training
right.
on our stuff, but OpenAI, they train on a capture of the whole internet from
Everything
that time
uploaded.
period, right? So if it exists on the internet, it's probably been trained on.
Yeah.
And it's, it's kind of a black box in terms of how they're doing it, at least for us, right? If you're a very high spec AI engineer pro, then, Sama is probably paying you a very large amount of money and you sign an NDA. For the rest of us, you're not going to know what's going on, and there's not really much you can do. So if you're a music artist out there, you're any type of creative, I don't think it makes a lot of sense to be afraid or be adversarial towards AI because you're not going to win. So you might as well, get with the program and try to find the W, right?
And that's what I'm saying. So even speaking on audio and copying people's voices, beats, styles like that, ElevenLabs is another great audio program. And
Or Deepgram.
Yeah, or Deepgram.
Deepgram's really good, yeah. But yeah, so with voice AI, then Mason, we recently had a use case where it was very pertinent to a client project. So why don't you walk us through that?
Yeah, while we were editing that client project, there was a little bit of a hiccup with a wrong line said and went into ElevenLabs. All I needed was 3 minutes of the person speaking, and luckily we had 17 of every speaker, and would upload their voice, tweak it here and there, and literally almost identically, you can't even tell that the last little blurb in their interview is all fake.
Yep. And there's something I think a lot of people out there don't know is when you're using something like Adobe Podcast Enhancer or Descript, a lot of these audio improvement tools are not actually changing the source audio they're given. They're actually using that to train a generative model to create new audio. And that's something that if you ask any sound engineer from the past,
I had no idea about that.
What they'll tell you is you can only polish a turd so much, right? So the most important thing in audio engineering is getting a really good raw capture, right? And I think this is true for a lot of creative fields, right? It's you can color grade footage and stabilize it, all to high hell.
Yeah.
But if it was poorly done initially, the lighting was bad, then you're only going to make it look so good.
For sure.
But now generative AI has come in and changed the game on that front. Is now you could start with a pretty shitty source material and use generative AI to get it to a point where you can use it.
For sure. Like even if, rewind 5 years ago, we would have had to go into Pro Tools and literally pick out every single syllable to make, the actor or, use case say what we wanted them to do. And that would have taken hours upon hours of chopping up audio, making sure every single syllable lines up perfectly. But
and
now,
you still get a less convincing effect. Now one button, boom. And that's why when you look at these tools, why is there such an emphasis on the transcript? Is because they have to know what words you're saying.
For sure.
To generate that audio.
It's crazy. And definitely blurs the lines. And like I can see where some people would be like, oh, well, I don't want them collecting data on my voice.
So we have our tech stack. We got VO3 for video. We got Suno for music. We got ElevenLabs or Deepgram for voice. And then for scripting, storyboarding, what are you guys using the most? Me and Dean are using ChatGPT pretty much.
Yeah. Realistically, here's how I feel about the chatbots. Is that unless you're doing very high-level coding, which we're not, I don't think it matters too much. If you're using chat, if you're using Claude, if you're using DeepSeek, it doesn't really matter. If it's just text-based, you're doing outlining, you're making proposals, you're writing storyboards, it's the output is going to arguably have more to do with your prompting than what the model is. They're all pretty good nowadays.
Yeah, Adobe Firefly for mapping stuff out, but it's built into Photoshop. It's even in Premiere now. That's what you have. Say your clip ends like 4 seconds too early, and you want to extend a shot. You can just AI extend it too. Also,
is this an add-on in Premiere and
it's
or they just added
part
it
of
there?
the.
It's just part of the
Creative Cloud. Now they added that. They added the Fire. What is it called?
It's Adobe Firefly is like their
Firefly.
model, but same thing. It can create images. say you want to create a graphic and you're not the best graphic designer. I know I'm not, and trust me, we're still drawing kindergarten art on the fridge, and going in there, mapping stuff out. You can draw stick figures for all Firefly cares, but as long as you block it out and map it where you want it to go, it'll help create that vision of that rough block, and then you can slowly go in and start adding more elements to it. So it's a good base building block for that. But in terms of scripting, yeah, ChatGPT is definitely still up there for me.
Yeah, we share prompts. We have a team account. We're sharing prompts.
Yeah.
So people can use each other's models, which has been very helpful.
One final piece so we have video, we have audio, we have the planning and storyboarding, etc. And the final piece is still images, right?
Yeah.
And I think because video is new and sexy, people are sleeping on stills a little bit.
Sure.
And it's really important, especially if you're using non-VO3 models, like if say you're using Runway or using Sora. It's a lot easier to, what I like to call, anchor your generative video on the specific visual still that you generate. Most important reasons for that is speed and efficiency. It's a lot easier to generate, let's say you're using Midjourney and it's giving you 4 iterations at once, right?
Yeah.
It's easier to generate still images and get the visual aesthetic you're looking for as a great starting point and then doing image to video than to go purely text to video. And it could be way off what your vision is, even though your text prompt is on point. But the difference is the video is going to take you 2 minutes to generate every single time for 5 to 8 seconds. And the still images, you could generate 4 of them in 10 seconds.
It's a building block because you said, the text could still kind of get interpolated in different ways and still might not set you on that exact correct path that you want to visually represent in that video. So the images are 100% a good building block. It only helps the video translation move a little faster and, kind of get more bang for your buck because it's like, all right, here's this painting that I have in my head.
Yeah.
Here, literally putting it right in front of you. You can read it. This is the style. Then go from there. So instead of just having nothing to work off.
I'll sum it up perfectly for the audience. So if you're going to create video with a model like Sora or VO, add an image, reference image that you generated, so the video is able to perfectly understand and animate and have a frame of reference for your video.
Right.
Yeah, I'll even go one step deeper on that. Is you can actually feed your generated image references back into an LLM and then have it parse that and then give you a clean prompt on. Let's say you don't come from a AV background. Right, and you don't know all the terminology and vocabulary how to describe your vision. Well, you get pretty close with, say, a Midjourney or a DALL-E, and then you feed that into ChatGPT and tell it, "Hey, I want to generate a video based on this aesthetic. Give me the the lexicon to be able to describe that."
Another thing too, like you said, we're pretty early adopters on this still, and it's still being built out. Every single month it gets better and better.
Every day.
Yeah, every day it gets better and better. And even when I was in my full AI class, there was a lot of people, I feel like, especially in the creative world, I can understand both sides of the argument. There are people who were scared to use it. They thought it was like HAL from 2001 Space Oddity, going to sink the whole ship and kill everyone along the way. But the counter argument to that was like, think about Lord of the Rings. Like, Peter Jackson literally reinvented the wheel of VFX just to make 3 movies. Without that whole entire system that we have now, that's modern day VFX. Like, every movie after 2001 Lord of the Rings was built off that program. So it wouldn't be here without it today. And it's only going to keep getting better and better. And there still need to be artists or AI artists, creators, someone with like an AV background to know the terminology and lexicon to be able to provide it. And you still need someone sitting behind the computer telling it what to do. You can't just hand it to someone and be like, okay, have fun. It won't be as good as it will.
We're like the DJ Khaled's. We're bringing all the pieces together and we're making the banger. We're not actually doing.
We the best.
You got to have the keys to drive the car.
You got to have the keys.
You know the way that I look at AI as an artist and a creative. The way that I look at AI is the same way that I think musicians looked at autotune,
Sure.
or how it impacted the workflows and the way you do things is that as soon as autotune was invented, it wasn't like, oh, it's a stylistic choice. Like, oh, sure, you had T-Pain's and you had early Kanye on 808s and then Drake and Lil Wayne with the obvious autotune as an effect, right? And then Jay-Z 2008, 2009 dropped Death of Autotune. Well, guess what? Autotune fucking thrived after that, right? And it's a thing where there are certain creative outputs where autotune is very obvious, right? Like this is an aesthetic choice.
Sure.
But in the background, every single song you hear on Billboard Top 100, on the radio, on streams, etc., every single song has autotune on it. There's no such thing as a major label production without autotune on it. You just don't notice it, right? And I think that's where AI is going to go. Is that every single creative thing is going to have some form of AI processing on it, whether you like it or not, whether you notice or not.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what, like we said, back to, Death of Autotune and everything, kind of comparing that to the AI Coca-Cola commercial. When that came out, everyone was in an uproar, hated it. Coca-Cola, what the hell are you doing? This sucks. Why would you ever do this? But I was watching Netflix the other day, and same thing. I could spot at least 2 ads that had AI incorporated into it, and like it was a good use case for it. It was great, but whether it was, Lumetri touch-ups, audio fixes, visual like VFX, at least it's going to be incorporated somehow, some way.
Every time I think of autotune, I think of this scene from Land of the Lost. You guys know this scene?
I've seen.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen
it. I haven't seen it in a while.
I wouldn't touch that. All right.
It's like a.
Yeah, Danny McBride is probably the most genius comedic mind of our time. Anyways, Eastbound and Out is my favorite show.
Oh, easily.
I sense that it's the Mason and Ding yap off right now about AI. So I want to switch gears. I want to hear from Jake right now. What are some good creative examples of stuff that is being made with AI right now, right? Because I think people out there, to some extent, still have this conception of, not the younger kids, but the older folks out there are like, oh, AI is this like futuristic thing. It's like, no, AI is responsible for a lot of the most viral things that are on the internet right now, a year ago, 2 years ago. So give us some examples.
What do you want me to say? Brain rot? Is that what you're digging for?
I mean.
The whole Italian brain rot phenomenon was all AI generated. You guys know more about this than me.
Yep.
Maybe a lot of the content that we've been making has been very backed by AI. I think the Life of a Shark video that we did, we shot green screen, and then Mason went in and create custom backgrounds. Every shot has its own AI generated background, which really brought the video to life. And I thought that was such a sick use case of using AI in such a creative manner.
Yeah. Yeah, in a little bit of context for, if you didn't watch the video, what the fuck are you doing?
Well,
watch the video right now.
Show the video on the
podcast. So the idea is that we made a music video where we wanted to be video game characters and rap in video game settings. In a traditional way of doing that, though, it would have been prohibitively expensive and complex, right? Where we'd have to create, use Unreal Engine to make our own backgrounds and do all that bullshit. But nope. Mason, you were the mastermind behind the generation. So why don't you walk the audience through?
Yeah. So that's what, of course, it was classic. You guys seen the video now. All 8-bit style, old school arcade games. So went with the classic 8-bit style. Went into ChatGPT, same thing. Had just, some dirty prompts kind of describing what I would like, of inspired, backgrounds. Think of 8-bit side scrollers of a wallpaper almost, just kind of scrolling left to right, and based off classic video games, created tons of shots. I mean, I must have created at least 40 backgrounds, I think.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's such a sick use case. We shot it on green screen. Basically, synopsis, we were able to produce this sick video at a much, much, much less cost than what you would have to do if you had a freaking studio.
Definitely. Yeah, that's another good thing. That's what it's no longer going to cost $100,000 to make a movie, $100,000 or more than $100,000 to make a movie, $100,000 make a music video. You don't. That's what we have missiles in the music video. So,
missiles. We create missiles.
That's what we don't need to sit there in After Effects and all day.
By the way, NSA Palantir virtual missiles, virtual missiles, not real ones. We don't have weapons. Very safe, very friendly. We love America.
Of course, but that's what literally I sat there and did it all in 2 minutes. That's what 3 modeled it in Blender, threw the Blender file into Sora, and I was like, here's this, VFX missile that I made. Green screen it, animate it, and make it explode.
Okay, so the opportunity is endless. What is someone's first step that they should be thinking about using, one of these tools? Or they're interested in bringing an idea to life? What should they do?
Use the tool.
Use the tool.
That's it. Because here's the thing, right?
Go play around with the tool.
You could learn all the theory, right? You could do all of...
you could listen to this podcast 20 times. But if you don't do it...
Until you do it, right?
And for every use case, there's a different tool, right? So say you're trying to if you're an audio engineer and you want to deep dive into audio, go play around in ElevenLabs, record your own voice, go, mess around in Deepgram's program. Just start using it. That's the simplest answer.
I think maybe it's a little imitating for some people to not know what tool to go to. I got to create an account. I got to pay $30 a month now to even try this for some tools. So maybe this is just a little push to go try and go experiment and see what you can create.
Yeah, you want to do 2D animation, you have your own custom drawings in Photoshop, in Illustrator, anything, but you don't know how to actually animate. Throw those drawings into Sora. Sora's free. You can start using Sora today.
Beautiful.
Start doing it. Practice around. Give your characters different prompts. Make a little 60-second story out of whatever characters you have. You don't even have to draw the characters. Just think of a character in your mind. Think of your favorite superhero. You could upload a photo of yourself. Start messing around with it.
So let's tie this back to marketing now. How is this going to affect just the marketing landscape in general? LinkedIn, B2B.
Yeah, so I think a really immediate impact right now we're seeing on the B2C side, right?
B2C side, 100%.
UGC has completely changed in the past 2-3 years, right? A lot of it's now AI generated. A lot of product videos, very shaky cam, organic looking videos with product placements are AI generated right now. And to take that a step further, right? We're seeing a lot of brands are using AI create product shots, right? And beforehand, you need to rent out a studio, get all the lights, cameras, etc., staging, boom. Now you put it in AI and it looks 95% of the result, for 1% of the work.
Yeah. I think that's such a great philosophy just in B2B in general. It's always look at B2C. What are they doing? All right.
Granted, for B2B, it's a little bit different because the tools, software interfaces and whatnot, you can't necessarily convey that through generative AI right now. There's good tools out there like Storylane, demo automation that are kind of in that realm. We just shout out to Storylane, man.
So what are your guys' predictions kind of coming into? Obviously, AI is exploding exponentially.
Yeah.
Where's this going the next year or two? Obviously, I think even looking past 5 years, a few years is really difficult right now because everything's going so quickly. But what's next up in the AI world, AI video world?
I think it's gonna speed things up tenfold, even just as a video editor. You no longer need to sit there and wait for After Effects to render. Cutting things, simple stuff. All the if, ands, ums in a video. Literally, I'm sure AI tools and everything, just even in Adobe, there's text-based editing right now. You can just type in and if, delete, cuts the video.
That's a tool in Adobe right now?
Yeah.
What is that just in Premiere, right?
Well, yeah, it's just text-based editing. So, yeah, it's just Premiere.
There's text. See, I'm not in the weeds all day on editing. So that's why we brought Mason on to tell you about this.
There you go. J. Claire exposed. That's not.
Hey, I do edit every once in a while. Like
you edit more than I do.
Ding hasn't edited a video in
So I haven't edited a video since Nam, man.
Who edited the video, the Hormozy video?
I did that today.
You didn't do that.
I did.
You edited that yourself?
You want to see the captions file? I actually did that myself.
Oh, shit.
Why do you think it was so fast? Why do you think there were so many things on the screen?
All right, I thought you called in a favor for Mason last minute.
No. I did that in bed last night at 1 a.m.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So a lot of video editing tools that are going to be quickly affected and helped and just speed up the process.
For sure. And, I think it's in every single aspect of what we've even talked about today, it'll just tenfold increase time. You no longer have to sit around, wait, just cutting down on time.
For what I think the importance of original ideas and creative concepts becomes more important. I think technical skills arguably are less important now.
Sure.
This is, I'll even, I'm recalling Gary Vee again, him saying this.
Yeah.
What's most important right now is just being creative, but also being a strategic thinker. Like you're thinking, how can I use these tools in a creative way?
The AI is not there to replace you creatively. It can't take your brain and literally expose all your ideas. That's what you're there for. You're still at the helm of the wheel, but you have access to all these tools that will help you bring this creative vision to life. It no longer costs, like I said, $1 million to make a movie. You can start today with your phone. You don't need fancy cameras, insane editing software. You can start making these today. It's just going to make things cheaper, solidify a lot of, time management. It's just not going to take as much time, and just streamline the process. It'll kind of be like your co-pilot throughout everything.
This may be a hot take. I think the concept of cinematography will decrease in the next decade or so, because we're not going to need, the insane equipment of the past, like 10, 15 years from now, right? But on the flip side, I think strategic business minds, people that understand marketing and human psychology, aka creators, but business savvy creators, become more important on the B2B marketing side. And the reason for that is, as the reliance of AI goes up, so too does the need and desire for human connection. I saw Dave Gerhardt post something about this today, is that's going to become more and more important. We're seeing more and more in-person events going on in the B2B space. Because if you're just sitting on your computer talking to AI all day, it's pretty nice to dap someone up and do a toast at the happy hour, right? It's a nice thing. Alongside that, I may be a little biased as a co-founder of EventShark, but we're seeing companies divest from large scale conferences and trade shows, unless they put them on, right? So HubSpot, Dreamforce, they're all going to have that. But we're seeing like hey, let's pay $150,000 to sponsor a booth at a trade show. Go to more, hey, let's do a road show and have 6 events around the country this year, right? And those in-person, intimate, deep connections, that's a really good opportunity for content capture. So that's going to be a bigger trend these are people, these are people that we've seen around. They're in the content. Okay, cool. I know that's not AI because I've shook this person's hand before, right? We hung out. We talked about, I don't know, movies.
And even collaboration between content creators, whether you're both using AI, one person's using AI, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're still content creators at the end of the day, and content creators, whoever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But you're still
until Clip, our AI shark takes over.
Oh, he's coming through. Well, what's funny is I think we're going to start seeing more human and AI avatar collaborations. See, Timbaland just signed a new AI artist, right? Roll that clip.
Yeah. So we even created our own AI avatar character. Yeah. Clip is his name.
Yeah. And AI avatars aren't anything new, right? Like we had Max Headroom back in the 80s, 90s. Long time ago, right? Hikuna or Matata. There's like some Japanese anime girl was like one of the biggest pop stars in Japan, like 2 decades ago or a decade ago. There was this anime Japanese like singer character.
Sick.
Super popular. That holograms, it's like some Tupac shit.
Okay.
Roll that clip.
All right.
Dean's off on
yeah. Okay. I want to ask a final question for everyone.
Okay.
What has been your favorite AI use case up until this day?
For me, it's making beats, 100%. I always wanted something like I joke. I had the idea for generative AI music like way back in the day, because I had a team of producers and I would give them prompts, aka what I wanted. And I'm like, all right, go make this thing, right? Send them the sample. Send them 3 reference songs, and boom, now I could just do it in text. So as an artist, it's really cool for me to do that and not to worry about stealing. As of recently, I may have gotten hit by a YouTube beat copyright. So, just to not have to worry about stuff like that is awesome.
Yeah. I would say for my favorite use case was definitely the AI short form video I made. Little story about like the alien invasion. That was cool. That was for like my final project, and same thing. I didn't have the budget to spend on UFOs and explosions, and I had the script already written out from a prior class that I was taking, And I wanted to make it happen, and I saw the opportunity with all the AI VFX stuff going on, and I was like, this is perfect. And yeah, made a whole little 4-minute short film just about alien invasion, and all made in Halloween.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'll give you guys mine real quick. This is gonna sound really nerdy, and I don't really care. So I did a whole. I was talking to ChatGPT, and I talk to ChatGPT all the time about life problems or business ideas, blah blah blah. But I use this in a more of a fun use case. I asked ChatGPT to give me a alternative reality if the Nazis have won World War II.
Okay.
So then it gave me a whole like alternative reality, and then I went into like few years in the future, 5 years in the future. I went over almost 300,000 years in the future. I went to there was a post-apocalyptic winter. It was like this whole sci-fi story that I created myself, which was like really interesting. It was like watching, like it was like reading a book that I was creating. It was really fun.
That's
yeah,
sick.
it's fun. I think it's just like a fun non-business use case that you can use it to create your own
Yeah,
freaking stories.
that's insane.
You ever seen the show Man in the High Castle?
It's basically kind of like that, but that's a show where Nazi Germany won.
That's the
I
first
haven't seen it,
thing I thought of.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it either,
I
but I
could
heard
watch
it was
that
good.
show where I could just
Make
Your own
yourself.
fantasy, yeah.
Take my
Choose
own
your
world.
own adventure.
and there were
Yeah.
some things that I was like, I don't want that to happen, and then I changed
Changed it. Nice.
Just changed in history.
That's sick.
Pertaining to my earlier point about, don't invent new problems, right? And trying to shoehorn AI into a solution. I think a great historical allegory that we can learn from with that is the Great Hanoi Rat Massacre of 1902. So in early 20th century Vietnam, the city of Hanoi had, a huge rat infestation. And the local city government wanted to mobilize the local populace to help get rid of the rats. So they created this bounty system where they would actually pay residents of the city money in exchange for rat tails. And the prevailing thought was, if we incentivize rat tail collection, our civilians would go out, kill rats, and that would reduce the rat population. What ended up happening was that not only did this not work, they got more rats because civilians started cutting off rat tails and letting the rats go back out in the wild so they could regrow a new tail. It got to the point where people would have rat farms at their houses and they're just cutting off tails and then feeding the rats, letting them grow a new tail and then just submitting it to the city. So and why is that a relevant story? I think a lot of people are using AI like that. We have this problem. As a company, we want to incentivize more usage of AI in the business. And then, people are rewarding the wrong things. You're incentivizing the wrong things, right? It's like saying in B2B marketing where we're like, we need more leads. Cool. Let's change our MQL rules so we get more marketing qualified leads, aka some bullshit that sales can't sell to, right? It's the same thing I see happening with AI at a lot of companies right now.
People are finding problems that don't exist and trying to solve it with AI where they don't need to do that.
Yeah. So learn from the Great Hanoi Rat Massacre of 1902.
Wow, what a anecdote to end on. Thank you for listening to the EventShark podcast, talking about all about AI. Thank you, Mason, for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Sharing your in-the-weeds stories of using AI with video editing. And we will see you in the next episode. If you enjoyed the episode, please like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.
Yep. Oh, real quick, guys, before we stop recording, look at the nutrition facts on this bottle. The full serving has 48% of your daily value of sodium. That's probably why you guys don't like the taste. Inside this bottle, there is 1,100 milligrams of sodium. So, fun fact, it's like Gatorade, man.
That's insane.
Okay.